Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. I'm Adam Hildebrandt, joined, of course, by the Tiger head football coach, Josh Blankenship. Coach, let's rewind to last Thursday. Enid jumped out 14-0. How did you see your team react over the course of those moments, kind of midway through that first quarter before you got on the scoreboard?
No panic. I thought our offense responded well, went out and was pretty efficient. I think our defense was playing hard. We just weren't tackling well. They had a guy, I don't know his name, but that receiver number 9. Just
Tyke, I've got it written down here. Anderson? That's close.
I just know he's a senior. We don't have
Andrews.
to play him again.
Andrews, yeah.
But, he made some absolutely unbelievable catches that, with the defense that we were playing, they needed to take some shots, and they connected on them, and our guys didn't panic at all. They were ahead going into the half, but I was really obviously pleased with how we got things fixed, corrected, and came out and separated in the second half.
Tiger running backs caught more than 100 yards worth of passes in that game the other day. Why was the screen game so effective in that game?
Well, anytime we can get first downs or have some efficiency on first down, we like to have tempo and go fast. And one of the things we wanted to do was spread out, and if they weren't going to be able to line up fast enough, just flip it out there to our athletes. Whether that's Caleb or Cade, we know about them, but obviously our running backs, KD, Nate, and then Cabry, he finally popped and flashed. He hadn't in recent games, but we know what he's capable of, and just spreading them out and taking what the free ones that they give us. And our quarterbacks did a good job of recognizing when they did give us those free cheap ones, and when you fire it out there to those guys in space, they're pretty dangerous.
When the screen game is effective, whether that be in the wide receiver screens or guys coming out of the backfield, how does that help open up the rest of the offense?
There's always merit to spreading the field, especially if you're what we are. We love outside zone, but it's still of a inside hitter at times. Counter obviously is something we love, and inside zone. Well, that's all A gap to B gap. You like to think it's C gap on outside zone, but a lot of times that thing hits inside. To be able to spread out and have success with your athletes out in space really forces the defense to cover the whole field and opens up the rest of what you want to do.
Owen Jones is now over 1,000 yards this season. He's close to 1,200. I know we've talked a lot this year about his development, but what is he doing well right now over the course of these last couple games?
He's settled. He's a lot more mature, and we've talked about that all year, but that only comes with game time and experience. And he's getting to the point now where, and Coop as well, when he's in there, that you can start to signal in what you want, and they've already got an idea what the rest of it's going to be before you even finish. So just being on the same page, anytime the play caller and the guy, taking the snap are thinking like-minded, you got a good chance to find success.
And you mentioned Cooper Bates. He's been really successful on the ground over the course of these last few weeks. So it's not as if it's a surprise to the defense that he's going to run the football when he comes into the game. Why is he able to succeed despite, obviously, opponents knowing that he's going to try to put it on the ground?
Well, when you got the talented running back next to him, they have to account for that guy. They can't just sell out for Coop, and then Coop can throw the ball. So keeping the defense honest. In that sense, Coop could be a starting quarterback all by himself, but he just has that other dynamic that we try to take advantage of in the run game, and they have to play him honestly. It's not a thing that they can kind of overload and think that he's just going to be the guy carrying the ball.
Not only could he start at quarterback, he played some defense last week as well. How did that come about, and how did you think he handled playing both sides last week?
He did a great job. He texted me last weekend and wanted to know how he could get more involved. He's a guy we played in a bunch of different places last year, and once he was a quarterback full-time this year, it was kind of hard for me to pull the trigger and use him on the defensive side of the ball. But we're at that time of year where we're looking for everybody we can to go contribute in additional spots. And he was right, and he sparked us on defense when he went in at safety, and I think he might have only had 3 tackles, but the way he flies around and makes those tackles, it really brought juice to our whole defense.
And being a quarterback, you had to understand to a certain extent what the defense is trying to do to you. Do you think that helps a guy who's flipping over to the other side and trying to understand those defensive concepts as well?
I think it can. I think more than anything, Coop's at his best when he can just cut loose and go play ball. And, that's a little bit of what safety was for him when he went in was he sees ball, he's lined up, go get ball. And he's aggressive in how he plays, and that's what we try to tap into with him.
More to come on that here in just a little while. When we return, we're going to talk some Tiger defense. This is Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib.
Right now, get $200 from TTCU Federal Credit Union when you open a new checking account with direct deposit. What would you buy with $200?
Cars, race cars, my own apartment, 100 coloring books, and a puppy.
Or maybe some groceries and a tank of gas. $200 for whatever works for you from TTCU, because life is better in balance.
Welcome back again to Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. I'm Adam Hildebrandt, alongside head coach Josh Blankenship. Coach, opponent offenses this year, just 25% on fourth down, and fourth down often comes in fourth and rather short situations. Enid was just 1 for 4 the other night. So how has the defense gotten off the field so consistently in fourth down situations where the offense is either in do or die mode or arguably has a very short yardage to gain a lot of the time?
Yeah, I put on my offensive hat at first and think about those situations where you do go for fourth. And a lot of times it's kind of in that no man's land where you're either too close to punt, too far to, kick a field goal. So you would like to think that the defense would have a little bit higher percentage of success in those situations. But when you take it into all of it and the entirety of it into account, that's pretty impressive that our defense is doing what they did. And not only getting some stops, but I think a couple of those fourth down stops were turnovers. If at least one of them was a scoop and score. Or scoop and almost score. Newell scooped up one on a fourth down, I believe. So obviously when we're showing up and making big plays on those critical downs, that's a huge indicator of progression.
You mentioned Tyke Andrews earlier for Enid, who had some pretty wild catches, but it seemed like the coverage was pretty good on a lot of those. What did you see in those, and was there anything that those guys could have really done any differently?
Oh, I think you can dissect it and overanalyze it, maybe about where you place your hands at the playing through the ball at the last second. But to be honest with you, that guy was making some unbelievable catches, and that's what I told our staff and even some of the players at halftime was I can handle that guy making some freak catches. I cannot handle us not tackling the football, not tackling the ball carrier. So that was what I hoped to have seen cleaned up in the second half, and they came out and did a good job of that.
Speaking of the ball carrier, a guy who got it a lot for Enid was Luke Round. He's a big body, 6'2", 200 plus. When you've got a big physical back like that, how does that challenge the defense as opposed to some of those guys that are quicker and want to make you miss?
Forces you to make sure we're all rallying to the football, because that first guy that's there by structure and by design to be able to make the hit or make the tackle, if we don't quite get him down, we better make sure we're still all flying and rallying to that spot, because that guy is going to break tackles. I mean, so you got to have the second, third, fourth guy there rallying.
Enid, and you mentioned this a moment ago, scored 24 before halftime, didn't score in the second half. Other than tackling better, was there any adjustments that were made, or why were you guys so much more successful in that second half of play?
Well, there were a couple of little tweaks scheme-wise, but I credit the biggest thing to the guys coming out and playing more sound football where they were actually tackling the ball carrier. And then the little personnel change, like Coop being back there, really did spark us, and I don't take that lightly. Yes, there were some adjustments on schemes, some reminders of assignments, but really it was us coming out and playing better football.
That is Broken Arrow Tiger head football coach talking a little Tiger defense with us. More to come when we return in just a moment. This is Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib.
Recently, you've had to put your life on hold, and we're with you in this. At Ascension St. John, we're now open for appointments, and we are fully prepared for your safety in our care. As we open our doors again, our doctors, nurses, and care teams will continue to wear personal protective equipment. We've taken even more steps to clean and stringently disinfect all areas. We will maintain distancing in our waiting rooms and will continue to limit visitors. And we will still screen all staff to protect their health and yours. Our emergency rooms are here 24/7. Please do not delay care. We're still delivering babies and performing surgeries. And we're open for your appointments, from specialists and surgical care to routine care and health screenings. Ask us about virtual visits. Ascension St. John continues to care for you, as we have been for almost a century. Thank you for trusting us.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib, Adam Hildebrandt, Josh Blankenship, and now, of course, Cooper Bates, one of the Tiger QBs, joining us today. Cooper, last week, you got to play both sides of the ball. What was that like? How is your preparation different than most of the season when you were pretty much focused on playing quarterback?
Yeah, I didn't get to watch as much film with the QBs. I had to go out there with the safeties and stuff like that, but I was really excited to be out there and back out there on defense.
How long had it been since you played on the defensive side?
Last year in the playoffs.
Okay, so not an exorbitant. It's not like it'd been 4 years or anything. So you'd been back there fairly recently. Was it difficult from the mental aspect of it to kind of get straight both sides of that coin, both what you needed to be doing as a quarterback and what you needed to be doing as a defensive back?
Well, I just had to remember a lot of stuff from last year for defense, but I had to work a little bit harder to remember all the offensive plays, and I didn't get as many reps as I did previous weeks, but yeah.
Obviously the way you run the ball, being able to come up and hit guys, you're acquainted with the physical aspect of the game. Is that something that comes naturally to you, or did you kind of have to work on that as you got further and further into football?
Yeah, no. All INFC I played running back, so I wasn't scared of getting hit and played DN growing up, so I was used to tackling and getting tackled.
All right, so it sounds like that's something that's been with you for a while. Then, what about away from football? What do you like to do outside of football?
Well,
you got antlers on your shirt, so
yeah, I like hunting, fishing, watching football.
That seems to be a pretty consistent answer over the course of this year, Coach.
VA crew.
Yeah.
He actually, when he texted me last weekend about wanting to find more ways to get on the field, I called him right away. And he goes, "Hey, Coach." I said, "Well, what are you doing?" He said, "Well, we just got back in off the deer stand. All we saw was some doe, so I didn't get a buck, but what's up?"
I thought you were going to say he might have been actively in the deer stand, in which case you may have ruined a shot for him. So that could have been dangerous. All right, well, Cooper, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck this week.
Yep, thank you.
Back with more in just a moment. This is Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib.
For families who like to build their wealth while staying liquid, we have flexible rate CDs to keep your funds working hard, even when you're not. First National Bank of Broken Arrow. The right balance.
Hello and welcome back one final time today to Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. I'm Adam Hildebrandt alongside Tiger head coach Josh Blankenship. You got the Jenks Trojans coming up on Friday at their place. It's a short trip across town. Obviously, though, Jenks always a talented football team, always a well-coached football team. What does this edition of Jenks football look like this year?
Similar to that tradition, well-coached, very, very talented. Guys that know how to win, believe they will win. You can't just flip on a switch and create that, but you also can't just flip it off after you've won back-to-back state championships. And so they've got that ingrained in them. They play really, really hard and really, really sound football.
Are there any particular positions or sets of players that stand out from that squad that you guys are going to be watching out for and trying to contain this week?
Well, obviously they're running backs. They've got a really good O-line, but they've got a stable of backs equal or maybe even more than we have as far as quantity. Some of those guys play both ways, but number 4 that plays safety for him is a downhill hitter. And then he'll carry the ball on offense too, and he's very explosive when they hand him the football. Defensively, they've got especially their 2 interior defensive line really, really show up on film. So there'll be a handful, and then a bunch of guys that play really hard, good backers, good DBs, and typical Jenks program. Talented all around, play sound, play really hard, and really aggressive.
Another good district matchup between Broken Arrow and Jenks coming up on Friday. We'll have the game for you on ArrowVision. Looking forward to it. That'll do it for this edition of Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib.